Hello and welcome to the first episode, or the second episode, I'm sorry, of That's My Story. On this podcast, we talk about individuals' life stories. Not everyone's story plays out the same, and I've always been fascinated to hear life stories. These are the stories that shape us as human beings and make us individuals, and I would like to hear about the moments in life that made you, you. Alrighty. So what's up, Manny?
Yo, what's going on?
All right, so just it's kind of funny because like Manny and I know each other so well. We've known each other for
So long. It's about 16 years now.
I think 16 years. So let's go with the introduction.
Yeah.
So why don't you introduce yourself, Manny?
Well, my name is Manny. I work at UPS. I got 2 kids. I've known George for so long. We were roommates with each other, and right now just living day to day with this whole thing going on.
Yeah, I hear you. The pandemic is definitely not something that we're still used to, even though it's been over a year. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way.
I know, right? Yeah.
Cinco de Drinko.
Cinco de Drinko.
By the time this episode comes out, it'll be be past Cinco de Mayo, but it's Cinco de Mayo for me and you right now.
Yes.
So if you guys missed that episode of the Speakeasy Gentleman, go back and watch that because we have a special Cinco de Drinko episode.
Sweet.
So check that out. So let's get into some information just about so we can get to. So I guess the listeners can get to know you a little bit better, Manny. So let's talk about where you are currently living.
Right now, I am currently living in Cyprus. Recently went through a separation, and just living with some friends right now until I can save enough to get my own place. But it's not too bad. The kids are okay. I'm okay. We're doing good and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Well, that's good. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory? Let's talk about where you grew up when you were a child.
Okay. Well, I was actually born here in the States in Santa Ana. I was taken to Mexico for a little bit. Grew up for a couple years out there, and then came back down here. Started living in Santa Ana again with the rest of the family. Till I was about 10 years old, then we moved to Tustin, and I kind of grew up out there. Just went to junior high school out there, made a bunch of friends, did a lot of dumb stuff, and just met some people, went all the way. Like I met you, and then, I moved out from my place, and, I bounced around a little bit here and there from different place to different place, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's touch back on Mexico. I don't know how many of his listeners have been to Mexico. I've never been out of the country, so I've never been to like Mexico or Canada or China, Japan, nowhere. My life is a little boring that way. But why don't you tell us a little bit about Mexico, what it's like to actually live there as opposed to just visiting it as a like a vacation?
Yeah, very, very different depending on where you're at in Mexico. So my family is from a little place called Torreon, Coahuila, and the population's not very big. Not very big. They still had like mud or clay houses.
Oh shit.
Yeah, serious. The backyard led up to like a mountain, and we have like bobcats and cougars in the backyard. Big old scorpions and stuff like that. But I mean, it was a population of like maybe like 1,000 people, so it wasn't very big or anything. Dirt roads.
Yeah, it's a small town, so basically like everybody knows each other.
Yeah, definitely small town. We all pretty much helped each other out with everything that was out there. You know, trying to hunt for like rabbits and whatever else we can get to eat and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like be living in a small community definitely has its benefits because you grow up knowing everybody in like your town or village or whatever, and everyone's very well connected, very not really culty, but kind of like uh, everyone's just brought together because you guys have to fight all the basically the natural elements and whatnot. So
Yeah. One of the things that sucks out there is the rain. Oh my God, the rain. It rains so much and so hard. I actually remember when so pretty much almost everybody in the town, all the guys at least, they had to build like a dam, not a dam, but like a river passing or a stream or whatever, so where all the water can collect and just go out of town because the town would flood.
oh, so they made like a trench, like a
Yeah,
ditch.
like a trench.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which all of our houses, we made ourselves like a little bridge to go out of that trench because it would just flood right in front of our homes. So we everybody got, not me particularly, but everybody got together and everybody was building this freaking trench for I don't know how long, but they had to make it deep. They had to make it super long because it would literally flood the houses for it was pretty bad for a little while. But I mean, they made use of what they did, and uh yeah, the times out there, it was really hard compared to what we're living here. But they're happy all the time, it's just how their life is. They don't understand what it is over here.
Well, because they don't have to deal with all the bullshit that we have to deal with. Like
Yeah,
their life is simple. So the simple life is like you have like real life struggles to get you literally have to worry about famine, you have to worry about wildlife, you have to worry about nature. As to here, people have to worry about what they say because you could hurt someone's feelings and get canceled. So it's two entirely different like situations. So
serious. I actually remember a time when I was out there, and I was just leaning up against the little wall right there next to the front patio or whatever you want to call it. And my uncle comes at me real quick with a shovel. I thought he was gonna knock me out or something. Little did I know there was like a big old black scorpion behind me
nice.
about to come at me, and he just smashed the damn thing. And he tells me, tonto, and I'm like, what? I didn't know that was back there. So like, you got to be more careful. And I'm like, yeah, I should be out here.
Yeah. So you said you come into contact with like a lot of wildlife. Any close calls with wildlife?
Yes. Not me particularly, but my cousins, when we were in the backyard with my cousins, because we had to pick out the straws for whatever. Grandma just wanted the straws out of the back or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's probably like to feed the animals or something like that. But there's like a bobcat that's coming down the mountain because, like I said, we live behind like a mountain or whatever, and that dude's coming quick. And my cousin tells me, "Look, you need to go back into the house," you know. So I'm running back into the house, but my cousin stayed there. My cousin is staying right there because apparently, um, yeah, bobcat attacks is pretty common out there, so they figure out how to deal with it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he was staying his ground and everything like that. He actually did get clipped from the cat, um, like on his leg or something like that. I can't remember too much. Again, I was super young,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and yeah, but he definitely ripped a hole in that cat's side. I don't know if he had like a pocket knife or a handmade knife or whatever, but that cat came down and he was able to get him like across the chest or something, and the bobcat was, I guess, dinner.
Bobcat for dinner. Wonder what
I
that's like.
I don't ask questions and I can't remember too much, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, right? It is what it is.
You know,
And he
like
was dinner.
exactly. When you're out there, you know, like you're farming the chickens to have chicken, and you're trying to collect rabbits and make sure that they eat and they breed so you can have rabbit. You know what I mean? It's not so much that you can just go to a store or anything out there to like a grocery store or whatever. You do what you can to get feed for whatever animals you have and do whatever you got to do. But that's how life was out there, you know, for a little while.
Yeah, it's a little bit different out there. It's like fight or flight, right? So
Yeah. And this is my memory from when I went back there to visit when I was like 12 or 13. Because remember, I was only there for like a few years, like 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? And because I was super young, so when we went back to visit, this was me remembering at that time what they were doing. So everything right there was just it was very weird going back to seeing where you're where you're coming from here in the States, and then going back to Mexico and seeing all that kind of stuff right there. It's different.
yeah, I'm sure it's different.
It's
There's no way
so
it could,
different.
yeah. Um Jesus. All right, well, we got to hear a little bit about like where you grew up and what life was like kind of in Mexico. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about well, I guess you kind of brought up food. Let's talk about your favorite food.
Oh man, my favorite food. Wow. You know what? I love ramen. I love ramen. I love sushi. Like that's kind of like my jam right there too. I I I could eat ramen all the time. It's extremely bad for you. I know it can be if you ate it so much, but I love going to different places and trying different ramens and just sushi, fish in general. I like seafood a lot. I do like seafood a lot. So I mean, but yeah, that ramen, man. Yeah, that I can go for like almost all the time. You know what I
Okay.
mean? We actually, you know, you and me, we have a spot, Shinsengumi, that we go to. Uh,
It's my favorite type of ramen that I've tried thus far. I've had quite a few different types.
yeah.
So Shinsengumi sells a Hakata style ramen. Uh,
Hmm.
it's not for everyone because it's got like an oily soup base, and
Yeah.
God, but it's so incredible.
It's so good.
it's hard to describe the flavor. Um,
And if you ask them, they'll refill your noodles. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
so that's like one of the benefits of going to that particular spot is they have like a noodle refill for like a
Yeah,
dollar or something or something. So it's like
exactly.
you're like, what? I could have more noodles, and then you get like add more soup base. It's like this is
Like, are you
ridiculous.
kidding me? Yes, I
Yeah,
want more noodles. Let's go.
yeah. So yeah, ramen is spectacular. There's like so many different kinds of ramen. I'm sure some of the listeners are like, you mean like top ramen? Like, no, we're talking about like
Yeah, we're talking about.
Authentic Japanese ramen.
I've gone. I've had.
Fucking love ramen.
I've had ramen from like Kopan, Gomen. I've been to Mitsuwa to have ramen. I've gone to a lot of places to eat ramen, and Shinsengumi, man. I love that place. That place is probably one of my favorite places to go and get ramen.
Yeah, I love that place. It's just that style. And I like when I go to Japan, I want to go to the Hakata station and have the actual Hakata style ramen there.
Oh man, I wish. That's one of my places on my bucket list. I want to go visit Japan just cause, man. It's
Yeah,
I
I gotta
I'm
go.
I know I really want to
I kind
go.
of regret not going earlier in life, when it was just like me being single and just I don't know why it never occurred to me to just get a passport. It's not like it's hard to get a passport. You just go like to the post
Well,
office and you're like,
at
I need a passport. And then they're like, oh, okay, stand up against that wall. We'll take your picture. And then 3 weeks later, you get your passport. Like, I don't understand why I never did that.
no, well, I mean, at the same time, we were kind of like knuckleheads when we were younger. You know what I mean? So
Knuckleheads.
Knuckleheads. We were kind of like knuckleheads. So yeah, a little bit. It's
Yeah.
we
So
never we never looked past what we wanted to do. We were just like in the now moment kind of ordeal.
we did a lot of stuff in the now moment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. It's like we should have like
Yeah.
planned. We should have planned things a little bit better.
We could have planned a lot of things a lot better and taken more trips when we were younger. For sure, we probably could have. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but like I said, we weren't thinking about that kind of stuff. We were just, we were just dumb.
Yeah.
We didn't think to the future of what we can do. We were just happy with what we had and what we were doing. We didn't look outside of it.
Yeah. And yeah, we're dumb. We're dumb. So let's talk about music, Manny. Favorite type of music?
Who? Favorite type of music? I actually like 90s hip hop and R&B. I love
90s hip hop and
90s
R&B.
hip hop and R&B.
See, like listening to Casey and JoJo and shit.
What's wrong with that? But
That's fine.
yeah, dude. I growing up, my dad was actually a b-boy, so he was a breakdancer, and he taught me how to breakdance at a young age too. It was fun. I like doing it. We actually had a father son dance competition at his work, TDK, which no longer exists. But yeah, and we grew up listening to 90s hip hop, kind of weird, like just pop music or whatever. And we used to get down with it and everything like that. And I kind of just grew up just listening to that kind of stuff. And it's considered oldies now.
Yeah, it's considered oldies now.
Yeah, it's considered oldies now. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, man, I used to be all about that noise. It was I used to groove down with that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm 90s hip hop and R&B it's my jam.
Nice. It's good. It's a good choice of music.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Let's talk about pets. You have any pets growing up?
I did. I actually had a German Shepherd growing up. So this dog was originally my sister's. My dad got it. No, was it my dad? Yeah, my dad got it for my sister when she was born. So the idea was for her to grow up with the dog. But my sister wanted nothing to do with the dog. So
nice.
I grew attached to the dog. The dog's name was Evil. And
Evil?
Not evil, evil. So it's like
because that's so much different.
It's kind of like EVO, evil.
Evo.
And,
yeah.
Yes. So okay. Yeah, I grew really attached to the dog. The dog was pretty much my best friend and everything. And I would play with the dog every day. That dog was one of the best things at that time in my life that I could have. My dad hated that dog. My dad, I don't know why he got the dog in the first place, but my dad hated that dog. He wanted to get rid of that dog.
Did your dad kick him?
My dad didn't even want to feed him. He just did not like the dog for nothing.
Why?
You know what? He just thought it was a waste of space because my sister didn't like it. He thought, it would have been something for him, and I don't know. He just did not like the dog. I guess he's like the dog was lazy or some bullshit like that, or I don't know.
No, but it wasn't. He's like, fuck it, I'm over it.
Yeah, pretty much. But it wasn't until one night we were at my grandma's house in Santa Ana that my dad just totally changed his mind about this dog. Wasn't going to get rid of this dog. So our house was being burglarized. Our house was broken into. My dad was the first one up to go see what was going down. And this guy, my dad was struggling with, he was going to stab my dad. He was literally going to stab my dad. And my dog, okay, literally ran and broke through the window to bite this dude in the arm, which he was holding the knife in. Like, no joke. Like, this is like serious. This is exactly what happened. He ran and broke through the window and bit this dude's freaking arm. And my dad was able to rustle this guy and everything, and just like get the knife. And the dog wouldn't let him go for anything. And then he kicked my dog, and then he tried to book it. And then my dog was going to chase after him, but my dad told him to stop and stay and everything like that. So the dog didn't go after him. He just stayed. He was a really good dog, very well behaved. And ever since then, my dad will give him a little extra food for like off his own plate or whatever. He loved the dog, even though he did not want to have the dog, anything like that. The dog saved his life, and he just was so damn thankful. And yeah, that dog was the best thing for him.
Nice. Dog saved his life, and like now he repays him with scraps.
Exactly. Way
to go.
And my dad wouldn't buy like cheap ass kibble either. Like, he'd get him like really good stuff, or sometimes he'll, like, if he can't finish his plate, he'll give him his plate or whatever.
Nice.
But yeah, so after that, it was he loved that dog. So thankful for the dog.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your favorite alcoholic beverage.
Ooh. You had to go there, huh? Serious?
Yeah.
You had to go there. Oh boy. Okay. My favorite alcohol beverage. Wow, that's kind of hard just because I like so many different things. I like beer a lot, and you introduced me to this beer called Pliny, which is so good. I've never had it before, and the other day I'm just like, wow, that is really good beer. Before, my thing was like the delirium, and that was my kind of like my thing. But that Pliny, as far as beer goes, that is really good beer. That is really good beer. That's probably my top as far as beer goes. But I like whiskey a lot. Jameson used to be my thing, but it just doesn't taste the same for me anymore. But I can walk around with a Jack Daniel's bottle all day. That's for sure. But Jack and Coke is my thing. I love Jack and Coke. Jack and Coke is like my go-to whenever I'm going to have something.
For sure. It's very simple. It's just, 2-part drink. Very easy to make.
Yeah.
Classic, got a good flavor to it.
Although the other day I couldn't stop thinking of that damn freaking Midori Sour you made me. And good, right? It was so delicious.
It's good, right?
I looked at it kind of funny. It just looked very weird to me.
Well, because it's green. So,
it's so green, like it almost looks like slime or something. But it was so good. It was so good. I even called you the next day. Hey, what are the ingredients in that so I can make it myself?
It's a 4-part drink. It's not hard to make.
It was just so damn good. I like that bubbly kind of sour tartness to it. It was really good. I enjoyed that drink. I might have to change my drink because that was pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good drinks out there, and
there's so much.
And I've been trying to make drinks, just like make different cocktails. I know like a lot of people don't like those like flavored, like sweet or those type of drinks, but you know what? I fucking enjoy them. I don't need to be like knocked off my ass every single time I take a sip. Like something's like incredibly strong. Like when I was 20. I just like I enjoy.
When I was 20.
I enjoy drinking drinks for the flavor. Not to say that there isn't any good tasting whiskey, because I've had some great tasting whiskey where you could have it neat and it's just smooth as balls.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, no, that's definitely true.
you missed out though. You left and we forgot to do sake. So the next time you're here, we'll have to do sake.
Oh,
I have a bottle of
I completely forgot that you said that you did have the sake there. I was
it's
like,
really good. I wouldn't say it's like it's not it's not a cheap bottle and it's not expensive. It's like it's a mid range bottle. I think it was like $50, but like
yeah,
it's super smooth chilled. And it's supposed to be served chilled. Because like
mm,
when you go and you purchase, you got to look at the. Or at least when I go, like I usually buy my sake from Mitsuwa just because I'm there and they have a very big selection of just sake and like
yeah,
they'll have notes on some of the sake there that you go to buy and they'll tell you what it pairs well with. They'll tell you whether or not it is best served chilled or cold or chilled or hot.
yeah,
So that one was specifically cold, and I was like, that'd be nice because we bought that bottle of sake for like a shabu shabu night,
yeah,
and I was like, it'd be nice to offset the shabu shabu with something cold, like so chilled sake was perfect, and it's so smooth, like it's one of the smoothest sakes I've ever had in my life.
really.
Yeah, it just goes down. It's very flavorful, like it's like robust in a weird way, but like smooth. So
Yeah, the only sake I've ever really had is like you always had to like warm up. I've never had sake where it was like on like chilled or anything like that.
yeah,
Everywhere I went, they always warmed up your sake, and that's how you drank it. And I'm just like, man,
it's very traditional. It's very traditional to warm it up, you know.
yeah,
But chilled sake is like it's pretty damn good.
yeah, I got to try that
I
next
think it's because
time.
like here in America we like chilled drinks very much, and I think they adopted that, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna serve this shit chilled, and we'll create like a version of sake that's gonna be taste well chilled, you know.
Yeah, Japan, they don't have whiskey on the rock; they have sake on the rock.
Nice. So we've gone over quite a few minor things, but oddly enough, that's already eaten up a lot of time. So let's talk about your relationship with your parents.
Um, what relationship? Um,
Moving on.
there. Okay, so I do speak to my mom and dad occasionally. My relationship with my folks is it's a very weird situation. Things happened where I hated my dad for a while. Things happened where I hated my mom for a while. It's just the way they raised me to be, you know, because I was a good kid, and I was very sheltered and everything like that. But growing up and then seeing them not turning out to be the way they're telling me to be, it's so hypocritical that I don't understand why you can't do the same thing. And I just had a hard time dealing with it from my folks. My dad messed up on my mom. I had to hear it through a friend, and I hated my
Mhm.
dad for it for a while. My mom never wanted anything more than to be just a mom, but she's always pushing us to get an education and doing stuff like that. And she's been a lunch lady for she's still a lunch lady since we were in elementary school. She didn't want anything more than just to be a mom. And I'm just like, what if I just want to be a dad? What if my sister wanted to be just a mom, but you keep pushing us to want to be something else? It's like, I understand, don't mess up like you did or anything like that, but you still had time when all that kind of happened to figure out what you wanted to do. People go back to school at whatever age to figure out something.
Yeah, but I
You never
mean,
know. You never know what might happen in the future. You could end up happily ever after. You could not. But the thing is to have something to fall back on in case something happens, and it's just
mhm.
a lot of things that are going on between me and my mom and me and my dad, and it's I do put a little bit of an effort to try to talk to them, but every time I talk to them, it kind of upsets me a little bit. And it's not that they bring up a certain conversation or anything like that. It's just when I see them, it breaks my heart. Not every family is meant to be with each other, but at least try to figure something out for the kids. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have to see your mom and your dad still living under the same roof, but your mom stays in the room because your dad's in the living room, and you're separated like that for so many years, it's like, serious? You know what I mean? My dad lived on a futon for I don't know how many years in the living room, and my mom never left her bedroom unless my dad was already out the house. And she had to make sure that she was back in the house before my dad ever got home because she doesn't want to see my dad. And she stays in the room, and I'm like, what kind of life is that? It
So
just
was
sucks, and it hurts to see, that kind of stuff happen.
yeah. So was that like were they separated but just living together then?
So they were separated, but they were still living under the same roof.
Okay, so that makes a little more sense there.
Yeah, so they were separated, but still under the same roof. But, it's like my mom never left her cave for anything. And if she ever needed anything, she called one of us into the room, and my dad was always in the living room, and like they are hardly ever made eye contact with each other. They hardly ever talked with each other. And, it's just, that's how it's always been, and it's just, it was one of those things that broke my heart. And it's just hard to see them,
Mhm.
without that kind of stuff popping into
Yeah,
my head.
yeah, it brings up too many emotions from the past, and like
Yeah.
they never got to settle anything, and
Yeah.
it almost seems like it was like a broken home, you know. Um, but I mean, that didn't really affect that way that they felt for each of you guys, right? The kids.
No. My family loved us, so much. Um, it never affected the way they loved us or anything like that, or or the way they thought about us and what they wanted for us. It didn't do anything to that, And my sister and my brother, they've come to terms and they've realized, they can't let it bother them. But I'm very different, and I let a lot of things kind of like stew a little bit. I let things bother me, and I have a hard time dealing with that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
but
Well, you have to take into account that you're the oldest, right?
yes,
So, being the oldest, you got to see that stuff when they were ignorant to it, and you got to grow up with it a lot longer than they did. So those feelings they're gonna linger and fester and just build up, and all you're gonna feel is resentment. I know because I kind of have like a similar situation, so I understand the feeling.
yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I get you.
Yeah.
It's rough,
Um,
but what can you do?
yeah. Well, let's keep that relationship a train of going. Let's talk about just your relationships in general. Are there any spicy ones, I guess?
Spicy relationships.
Mhm.
Well, I share a room with a burly man named Sergio. Um, and you know
And
what?
thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Nah, he's actually pretty cool. My buddy Sergio, we because like I said, I'm basically sharing this room, and I've been hanging out with him a lot. I don't have any real relationships right now. Like the closest relationships I have are just my friends in general. Like,
Well, I mean, we're not talking about current relationships. We're talking about just relationships in general.
oh,
Like,
just relationships in
yeah,
general.
any that
Oof.
come to mind that were like memorable, or maybe something
Um,
something that was like a thing from your past that you kind of wish you never let go, or anything.
you
You
know
know?
what? I did have a few. Like, I had two relationships that I had a hard time letting go for the longest time, I was in love with these people, and it was almost kind of like a white rhino situation, but it took a long time to let that go. After I met Angela, I still had those kinds of feelings, and it wasn't until later on in my relationship with her where I was able to actually let go of, those relationships. And my main focus was Angela, and that's probably one of the relationships that, that I should have been paying more attention to. Definitely could have definitely fixed that a lot more. But I mean, everybody has, you know, problems in the relationship, and you got to figure it out and stuff like that. I definitely have, stuff in the back of my mind with my relationship with Angela and stuff like that. And it's still kind of hard to get over with like that, because, something traumatic happened. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's none of her fault and everything like that. And, I love that girl to death. I still do, but, right now we're still real good friends. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we're talking about trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the obvious, has there been any other trauma?
I mean, I've I've had quite a few injuries in my life where it actually affected a little bit about me. One of them was completely blowing out my right knee. That kind of screwed me up a little bit when I was playing college soccer, and kind of missed my shot at some things growing up, which I shouldn't have played outside of college, but I ended up doing it anyway. But the way I look at it is, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be working where I'm working, and I wouldn't have met, the people that are in my life right now. I probably wouldn't even have met you.
Probably not.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably
so
not.
everything happens for a reason, and I'm actually very thankful for the people that are in my life, and stuff like that. To me, everything happens for a reason, and that was one of those things where it happened, and I got some amazing people in return, and I'm actually thankful for that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
You want to talk about just something random?
You know what? Let's because we kind of covered a lot of the stuff that I was going to ask you already, like in these stories. So, is there any specific story you would like to just share that you think might have been um, a point that made you you? Is
Yes.
there? Okay,
There
perfect.
is a point that made me me. And and that is you, sir. So when I was working at UPS, I was still living with my folks. You know what I mean? I not once ever thought about moving out of my house. Not once, never thought the idea of moving out at all. I thought I was going to be there till, I don't know, my late 30s or something like that. But it wasn't until you gave me an opportunity to come be a roommate with you and Craig and John and Joey, and I don't know what you know got in my head to say, yeah, you know what, I want to do that. Because it was a scary moment in my life. It was the first time I ever moved out. First
Yeah,
time I ever moved out, and I had to give it a shot. If I hadn't had you come towards me and give me a shot to be your guys' roommate, I don't know if I would have ever left the house. one of the things that made me today, as far as a person and my personality and uh, everything that's going on with my life, was the fact that I got to live a different life, with you as my roommate and Craig and Joey and John, and you guys introduced me into a lot of things because I don't know if you remember or not, but I was a very sheltered kid. I'm my mom was very strict with a lot of
Very
freaking things.
strict. Yeah.
Very strict. My mom was very strict with a lot that I did, and just she held me back a little. She held me under the covers. She didn't even want to let me go, but I felt like this is something I needed to do. Needed to go out there, experience my own. Try to see if I can do it myself. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity to be, you know, have been your roommate and then turn out to be the kind of person that I am today. You are definitely one of the reasons why who I am, why I am right now.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear
Yeah.
that even I can change somebody's life.
You can definitely change people's life. You know what I mean? Definitely.
That's awesome. Thank you. Also, thank you for being on, Manny.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah. And I do apologize to everybody for this show being so, I guess, not a super professional show, but then I mean, that's kind of what this. That's kind of what this is. This is kind of like a little bit of a realistic thing. We're just sitting here talking, having a small conversation. I understand some of it is like a little scripted and just doesn't seem real, but like the when we get into the nitty gritty of the stories, like this is all real, And
Yeah.
I really enjoy this. This is pretty phenomenal, and obviously, you and I grew up. Well, basically grew up together. We've known each
Yeah.
other for 16 years, so I mean, we have a history there, and
Yeah.
yeah, so that's pretty
And
awesome.
yeah, and everything I'm saying, it's totally legit. Everything to the T. Like
Yeah,
this was my life growing up. And this is awesome.
yeah, this is pretty cool. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, everybody. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm George Lugo.
And I'm Manny Rivera, and that's my story.
Bye bye.